Ka-chow and hello! Welcome to another episode of the Talkies from Carmen Line Studios. Today we have ventured into the darker regions of the internet. Nay, not the dark web, Netflix. We went on
What's Netflix? I've never heard of that.
Don't tell the Cannes Film Festival.
Is that like a Spotify?
They may disqualify us for life because we watch Netflix.
That sounds pretty obscure.
According to them, movies are not movies if they're on Netflix.
Well, what masterpiece of a movie did we see on Netflix, Kenny?
We saw Bright, starring Will Smith and directed by David Ayer.
I'm thinking that they kind of have a point with this film.
Yeah, maybe Cannes should ban. Yeah, maybe you might be right.
This movie was pretty much terrible in every single aspect. There was basically nothing redeemable about it, honestly.
That's sad.
Yeah.
That's really
No,
sad.
I would disagree.
Oh, here
There's
we
redeemable.
go. Here we go again, guys.
The wand looked really cool.
That's kind of
Ooh,
that's what I want.
spoilers for Bright. Just so you know, don't
watch it.
Don't watch this.
Go watch it. Come right back.
Go watch Bright on Netflix. And come back and all right. As you were saying.
Yeah, the wand looked pretty cool.
Yeah, the wand looks cool.
They've copied the dripping effect from Harry Potter.
Oh.
They copied everything in this movie. This movie was recycled garbage cliches from top to bottom.
Yeah,
Pretty much.
yeah.
Yeah.
I can't believe he said, they didn't teach us this in the academy. Like, are you kidding me?
No.
Oh.
Let's get the good stuff out of the way.
That won't take long.
The cinematography looked cool. Wasn't good, looked cool.
All right.
Because the lighting was awesome, because they're probably using some Arri Alexa or some shit.
I liked that kind of flare vignette on one of whatever lens that was they were using.
Some anamorphic.
Yeah, it looked really cool.
Yeah, that looked cool.
Will Smith's face.
Will Smith.
Can't go wrong with
he's
that.
got a good
Excellent
look.
actor.
It had his the human being Will Smith was on camera.
Right,
And
which is always a plus.
That's a plus.
I liked when the room of people exploded into dust.
Mhm.
I thought that was kind of cool.
That was a good effect.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was a good character. There's one who I felt like that's a good guy. I want him to make it through this. He doesn't. But Rodriguez, the other cop with the fifth kid on the way.
Right.
When they introduced him, I'm like, that one feels like a real human being.
Yeah, yeah.
And I'm like, he's definitely gonna die.
Yeah. He
That's
did
it.
he die? I don't even
He
remember
did
what
die. He
happened.
was
Yeah,
at the
he
very
died.
end.
Remember, he showed up later.
And they're like, why is he up there with them scumbags?
Oh,
Or
yeah,
the scumbags are up there with
Yeah.
him.
Yeah, okay, so beyond that,
Remember the guy with the sword that had really no
right. He had
relevance
no
to
meaning.
the movie?
The
That
shoulder
wasn't
fight guy.
good.
There was
wasn't
nothing
good.
good about that.
Yeah.
Nothing.
I think we've already run out.
No, the cop cars. No.
Actually, okay, they had a ridiculous over-the-top set piece that I thought was, at very least, had to have been really fun to shoot and direct, which was when they had a car spinning around inside of a Quickie Mart, smashing people up against the walls,
That was fun.
Yeah.
and a ludicrous amount of shooting without hitting people.
Yeah. Yeah.
It can't be that hard to shoot someone with a machine gun.
Guns versus magic.
Yeah. Anyway, there was no magic going on in that. That was just all machine guns.
Guns versus
The magic people had the
magic
machine
people.
guns.
I don't know.
Some of the gore effects were pretty cool.
So they didn't show it enough.
No, yeah.
Like they showed
There's never enough gore.
there was a bit where she shoved her hand into the guy's throat.
Yeah, that was.
And I was like, "Whoa, this is cool!" And then they just cut away
Yeah, that was
before
dumb.
you could really.
No, you got to have generic action.
Yeah, there was plenty
Generic.
of that.
My God, there was so much wrong with this film.
It was good at making LA look terrible.
Yeah, it did.
I love Los Angeles. 'Cause I grew up there, and I've seen the good and the bad parts of it. And this made LA look like all the bad parts, just the bad parts. It made LA look nasty.
Let's talk about its opening sequence, where they shove it in your face that we live in a racist society.
Yeah.
They,
all the graffiti.
Yeah, so they do their setting of the stage with graffiti. Which is, in its own idea, it's definitely not original, but it's fine. And they explain basically the entire backstory that way.
Yeah, the Dark Lord, the oppression of orcs, the
Drak.
Yeah, all of it.
All of it. That is told in graffiti.
That's an idea that you do for one shot.
Exactly.
You do one shot where you see Orcs Lives Matter or something like that.
Right.
But it was a whole 45 to minute and a half long sequence.
Yeah, it was too much.
Yeah.
They had curse the police.
I don't know how we could have had a movie. That's what I don't understand is they tried so hard to force exposition down our throats.
Yeah.
And yet I still felt like I knew nothing about the rules of this world.
Yeah. I thought
how did that happen?
Very much.
Because I still felt like they could just say whatever they wanted and it would just be true.
Yeah.
There
were some things in here that they explained. They actually used subtlety, and they didn't use subtlety at all in this film. But there were a couple points where I think they mistakenly used subtlety, and it actually worked. One of those parts was the orcs have a higher sense of smell than the humans do, and they just referenced it every now and then.
Yeah,
he's like, "You smell like you haven't had a good sleep," or something like that. Or the wand. Obviously it was the MacGuffin in the film, but they did allude to the fact that the wand can grant pretty much anything. That was cool.
An atomic bomb that grants wishes.
Right, that's what they said.
Called it. Which apparently no one can use.
Only Brights can use.
So it's
right.
All these people who are fighting try to get this wand. I'm like, what are you going to do with it?
You can't use it, yeah.
Yeah, and if they've had it for so long anyway, then and nothing that crazy seems to have happened, it's not like they destroyed an entire city or something in the past with the wand. They never established what these characters who are the wand belongs to did to be so evil in the
Inferni people
in the past.
Who are rogue elves.
Right, rogue elves. So they're rogue elves, and they have a wand, and they've had a wand for. I assume they don't really say. I guess, but I assume
it just belongs to them. But other people can use it.
But then there's other random brights. It's 1 in a million humans are a bright, which happens to be Will Smith, of course.
And that crazy dude with the sword knew that.
Yeah.
And told his partner that. Told Jacoby that right at the beginning. Jacoby goes,
foreshadowing.
He's just talking crazy.
Yeah.
Maybe he should have been like, hey, we're carrying around this wand. That dude told me you're a bright. Maybe you should try using the wand.
Your friend is blessed. Yeah. Did something.
You never get the impression that these people, we can't let these people get the wand because they're going to do something really bad.
They'll do something, right? Because you don't know.
Yeah, you're almost like, man, I hope they get their wand back because they just got their wand stolen.
Yeah, and so the heroes, you're supposed to root for them for what they want, and what they want at the moment was nothing. It was just they have the wand in their possession, and they got to get away from these guys, otherwise they'll die.
Yeah,
they're just running.
The whole film was running away from these people, and it was dumb. And so what it was supposed to be about how Will Smith's character and Jacoby, so Ward and Jacoby, how they are not getting along at first, but then do get along. And it was kind of cool in the beginning because Will Smith is just a bit of a racist. Not too much. Can't have too much for our god of acting, Will Smith.
It can't be too bad.
I need to talk about Will Smith real quick. What's his name? Denzel Washington does this too, where they only play characters that are pretty good guys. They can't be too good because then they lose a little bit of rep, and they can't be bad because they're good guys at heart.
I
feel like Will Smith is always that way.
Yeah.
He's never played a bad guy, and this is probably the shittiest.
He's played a bad boy.
Right, that's what I'm saying. He's always that character. Is the thing.
Yeah.
He's always the guy he's the anti-hero, but with less anti, more hero. Anyway, but he and Jacoby were pretty much friends in the beginning, even though he said we're not friends. They got along perfectly. He was the only non-race in the entire academy. And then they go off on this adventure that they're supposed to grow closer to each other. But at the climax of the film, which is the very, very middle, they're already together and they already defend each other. and there's nowhere for them to grow. They don't even really grow. Will Smith's character ends right there in the middle.
Yeah. And I never really got the impression that Will Smith was even that good of a person in the first place.
Well, he wasn't even a bad person in the first place. He was just a person.
Yeah. Like, I didn't really care about him. Mm-hmm. And I thought the whole inciting incident of the film where the crooked cops come in and are like, we need to keep the wand for ourselves. And if you're not in on this, then we're going to kill you and your partner. It was like the silliest thing that I've ever seen.
Like, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah, it just is too ridiculous to believe.
Right.
And then for like a second, and that's the other thing. Will Smith was like, okay, I'm in. And he goes down to kill his partner until his partner gives him an alibi.
I think he believed it was... It made it sound like he bought in that it was his only choice.
I wanted to feel like that was the decision. Like he had said, okay, I'm going to kill him, but had to talk himself into killing him.
Yeah. That's why he went down and started picking a fight with him, because he needed a justification.
Right. But I think that's just Will Smith's acting, because he's just good at acting, because I'm very certain the writing didn't do that.
Yeah. So I thought that was weird, and then I thought it was weird that he killed all his partners and stuff.
That was a little... odd, right?
Yeah, I could never really get up that, actually.
Yeah, like, you're an evil person.
Yeah, you just killed all of your partners in cold blood.
Right, for police.
Sure, they were threatening you and all.
That would have worked if they had gotten over the concept of the wand earlier. If we had already known the stakes. Like, what the problem there was that these cops knew the stakes in a way that the audience did not. And so to us, it just seemed absurd the way they were overreacting about this wand.
Right, clearly we don't know anything.
Clearly the wand is worth more than money. It's worth more than power. It's something valuable enough to just sort of throw away everything you believe in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Had we seen that
murder anyone.
Yeah.
Right? For a wand. But we had no idea that was the case.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, had we seen that play out like prior, I think we would have rooted for him at that moment.
Yeah.
And they do establish in the moment that it grants wishes. But
they just say
he's like, what do you want, $1 million?
Oh gosh, he sounded so stupid when he said and he said, a bigger dick.
Yeah. It's like, jeez.
You're gonna kill a man over that?
And like, if you can wish any amount of money, like $1 million.
I wanted that guy to die from the moment they showed him.
Yeah. Once with the Dark Lord, always with the Dark Lord.
When they showed him, he was terrible.
He was really bad.
Yeah.
He was just like, he's like the actor that you bring in and you're like, okay, so we want you to play a bad guy, and he gets it in his head that I'm the bad guy. that means lots of yelling, getting in people's faces, and doing this. I have some notes about this movie because, oh my goodness. There was a really weird moment when the internal affairs guys, the guys with the giant mustaches.
Yeah, that had nothing to do with the rest of the movie.
They came in, and I'm guessing it was supposed to be comical because they looked hilarious.
Yeah, except they were so like aggressive and mean and powerful that it was like, what the?
So they came in with that demeanor, which didn't mix at all with this comedic tone.
No, and in fact, they look like Mario and Luigi.
Right, exactly. You should have said that. That would have been awesome. That sounds like a Will Smith line. They came in and they need Ward's help, and so they come in and what do?
They said, "You want to go to jail? we're here to mess up your life unless you do what we say."
They threaten him. We need his help. Let's threaten him, and then Will pushes back, and then they're never seen again.
Well, and they set up a whole storyline that never pays off.
About the family being threatened?
And about trying to record him. Like, this was a betrayal.
Oh, right, yeah.
Right? He
that Will eventually said no, he wasn't going to.
He's betraying his partner. He says, yeah, I'm going to try to record you. And then in the car, he tries to get him to talk.
Right.
He's going through with it.
Yeah.
But there's never any consequence. It never comes up again.
No, in fact, he's rewarded because he kills the real bad guys, the police.
Yeah.
I wanna actually jump to this part that I thought was. So I saw this movie twice.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's really unbad.
The first time I watched it, it was enough to keep my attention, but I felt like it was a good way to study film as a form. And when we just watched it now, this part just keeps getting on my nerves, and it's the part where they bring Jacoby and Ward up to the orcs like throne room of some
the antler tree.
So first of all, where is this place? Why does he have a throne that's so huge, and why do they have a giant pit that goes
what
nothing?
the heck was that pit?
There's zero reason for all this to.
I thought dwarfs were going to come out of that thing or something.
But ignoring that,
maybe orcs are subterranean.
Ignoring the craziness of that, the orcs, or at least these orcs, want the wand. They know that they have it. The rogue girl,
right?
And Warden Jacoby, they know they have it, and so they torture them instead of searching them. So they torture them and say, "Where's the wand?" over and over. Jacoby stands up for himself, says, "I'm never gonna give you the wand," and they get impressed with it. And the guy says, "You would have been blooded, if you weren't gonna die, you would have been blooded," and then tells his son to kill him. The son says, "No, he saved my life. I can't kill him." And the dad, what does the dad do? He says, "That's a good boy. Okay, go away.
Yeah. Get out of here.
I'll do it.
I'm gonna shoot him.
I'm gonna shoot him."
And then when he then when he goes up to shoot him, and he's like, we get like the same shot that the son got, where it was like a close up on his face kind of thing, and they hold on that for a while of the orc just like going to shoot, and then for a second I thought he was gonna be like, "This guy saved my life. I can't do it."
Well, no, had he not shot him, then that would have been we would have understood. Okay, it's because he showed bravery. Now they gotta respect that.
Yeah.
But no, he respected his son, who was a coward, more than he respects this random guy who now showed bravery and said, "You're gonna get blooded for us," and then kills him. And then rogue and ferny girl, Atika, that's her name, Atika Masala, raises Jacoby from the dead, and they're all like in awe of Jacoby, as if he's raising himself from the dead.
Yeah.
But it's the girl who does it.
Obviously, she has a wand out.
And she's in the center of the room with this big glow, saying these magic words, pointing the wand and controlling him, and then he comes up, and now suddenly everyone's like, oh.
The prophecy. He's fulfilled the prophecy. Like you said, like he brought
Maybe
himself
we would have
back
known
from
what
dead.
was happening if they moved slow enough for us to read all the graffiti. There's all that writing on the walls.
There's scripture.
We could have got
on the walls.
all the prophecy.
There's literal scripture from the books spray painted on the walls in perfect English.
This film had a $90 million budget.
Wow.
And Taylor and I had a joke we were saying in there.
Yeah.
When I say in there, that's our theater room.
Yeah.
In there.
Yeah. That's our crib.
It's our crib.
Budget.
What were we saying? It was
the money doesn't make your movie good. Like, we have a bad story. How do we fix it? We just gotta raise the budget. More budget. Get Will Smith. Throw Will Smith in there. It'll fix it.
Like, this could have easily been a short film that we could just look at and be like, oh, come on, dude.
Yeah.
Like, you can do better than this.
Yeah.
But it was like a $90 million film that spread worldwide, and you're just like, come on.
It's like one of those ideas that it's like an anecdotal idea that you hear about from a movie that was never made. Like,
Right.
like your friend comes up to you and he's like, "Hey, did you know that they were in the works of making this Superman movie that was going to have a giant spider in it, but it just got canceled?" Bright is that idea, but it actually got made.
I can totally see someone saying, "You know, they were going to make this movie with Will Smith. Will Smith was going to be in it. It was going to be like orcs, but in real life. People would be like racist toward him."
Yeah, I see why it was canceled. The race thing was just distracting instead of good.
Well, they don't do anything with it.
Well, that's just it. Like, it's a clever idea. That is a good idea for a story.
Well, they did it in Blade Runner in 2040.
And many other things. The thing is with this is all they kept saying through the whole movie was, look, racism, different.
Right.
check out this different way of looking at racism.
Well, and it wasn't even that.
But
different.
It never went anywhere else.
It was literally a copy paste. Like the orcs were, like you said, the orcs are juggalos.
The orcs are the juggalos.
they're literally juggalos.
They have baggy hockey jerseys. They're juggalos.
They just took gangster like way of living and copied it and pasted it onto orcs. They spray paint.
Yeah, the orcs are the white gangsters.
Yeah, they spray paint. They wear these big jerseys. They throw crazy parties. They talk shit at police. They do this.
With their finger gun.
There was nothing original about any of that. And the thing is, they have stuff to work with. They have this, like physically, they look very different. They have these giant fangs. They have super strength, and they have one female.
Yeah, I don't know if they pass her around or something.
They had one female in the entire movie.
Why are Jacoby's teeth
rounded?
Yeah. Did he cut them off?
Lore for that?
I don't know.
It sounded like you had to get it was part of being blooded or something.
Like you grow teeth after you're blooded.
Your teeth get sharp.
That'd be great. Is at the end after they do the blood ceremony, if he just goes, ah!
Would have made more sense.
Jeez.
See, the way this movie approaches racism, like if I had to translate what this movie says about racism into words, it would be this phrase: "Hey, racism, it exists. Period." End quote.
Yeah, that was the statement on race.
It was.
Is that racism happens?
Like, for example, we're talking about a movie that did it right. Blade Runner 2049 had that whole little scene, just a little scene, that was against what's his name, K, as what do they call him, a skin job?
Skin job.
Like walking down the hall.
Yeah, and people are like yelling at him, throwing shit at him, and he goes into his doorway, and that's it.
Yeah.
And the reason why they have that is because now you understand what he's living through and like what he has to do to get by in these times.
Yeah.
And it made sense. It was actually contextual and it provided context, and this didn't.
Yeah, imagine if Blade Runner was just constantly oh, skin jobs, oh, replicants suck, oh, I would never hang around a replicant, just constantly
just
throughout,
and over.
But never do anything with it.
Harrison Ford comes up and goes, "Get that skin job."
Take this skin job.
Call me a skin job. You might be a skin job too.
One of the very, very stale, stupid scenes that happen in every single action movie ever made is the idea that the bad guys can't actually win, because then we wouldn't have a movie. But here the Inferni are chasing everyone, and they have that just crazy scene where they just kill everyone in the stripper.
Instantly.
Joint. Instantly.
It's so easy.
Yeah. So
they mow down a giant group of gangsters.
Yeah. The barrio is what they're called.
Yeah.
Yeah. They mow them down
effortlessly.
Just effortlessly, and then they get to the two guys, Jacoby and Ward, who aren't very good, and they just kind of punch them.
Yeah, they just can't.
It's just okay. At the end, when she gets her wand back, right? So now she's holding this thing that supposedly has unlimited power.
Yeah.
She could do anything. And
she's sitting right there by the area that she can heal you.
And so what does she do? She uses it to knock Ward on his butt.
Right.
She's like, push him.
Push.
And I'm like, you could have blown him into atoms. Right? You could have got rid of your enemies in a second. You have a wand now.
Yeah.
But of course you can't, the good guys have to make it to stop her.
Good guys gotta make it.
She can't be too, Steppenwolf can't actually kill Cyborg. He's just going to rip off his leg.
That's so bad.
That's so bad.
Yeah, that is really bad.
It's like I have a nuclear weapon in my arsenal here, and I'm just gonna come and slap you.
Yeah. I'm gonna call this something. Okay, I'm gonna make up a word here.
All right. Okay.
This suffers from Transformers. What sickness?
It totally felt like a Michael Bay movie.
Yeah, it really did. Transformers-itis, that's what we'll call it.
Yeah.
When people watch a film that's really, really fresh because it has an aesthetic that you haven't seen before, then they get caught up in the aesthetic and the story does not matter whatsoever. I've heard so many friends post on Facebook, Bright was really cool. And I'm like, it's a terrible, terrible story. Not only is it a bad film, but the story is just janky as all crap. But of course, when you're looking at a Netflix movie with Will Smith and there's orcs in a real world, then
you kind of get caught up in that.
Right. I mean, I was that way with Transformers. You know, you can look at Transformers because it was brand new at the time. These robots, things that we used to have back in the 80s, and now they're real. And you're like, wow, that's really cool on screen, but the story's not there.
I thought the first Transformers had a pretty good story relative to what was to come. But I also wouldn't say it was a bad story necessarily. Yeah,
I like the first Transformers.
Yeah, I thought it was good, but I do think what you're saying is true.
Yeah, well, it's more attributed to Transformers as the series, not necessarily just the first film. But I don't know. Would you guys defend Transformers 2, 3, 4, and 5?
No,
I wouldn't.
Well, then there you go.
Yeah,
but the first movie, if it was just left alone, I think.
Yeah, it would have been a nice just kind of thing.
It stands on its own.
Yeah.
This doesn't.
Yeah, this does not.
No.
And the aesthetic
does not merit a sequel,
either.
which they're making, by the way.
Which they were making prior to release.
Wow.
Yeah. Or they were planning prior to release.
On that scene in the strip club or whatever, the scene before that, directly before that, was a action scene where they're surrounded by like a group of people trying to kill them. In this like punk rock concert or something.
Oh, all the orcs.
Yeah.
And people who are enjoying orcish music.
Yeah, they're trying to kill him in this concert, and they're just kind of doing crazy stuff and interrupting, and everyone's dying, and it's insane for no reason.
When they wander into that party?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they're like attacked, and they have to get away from the attackers, the group of attackers.
What's so crazy about that is they stumble into this party, which is revealed later to be the Godfather orc special party that he holds once a month, where humans and elves and orcs come together and have a party without any guns allowed is the only rule. And they stumble into that carrying a gun, bumping into everybody, panting and clearly being chased, right? And everyone just kind of goes, oh. Like, no one screams, no one points. They're just, like, walking around with assault rifles and bulletproof vests, and they're just like, Until the shooting starts, everyone's like,
Even then.
And then the shooting starts, and the guy on stage keeps singing.
Yeah.
He's like, turn it up!
and so that scene is followed by the exact same scene, in a strip club.
In the strip club.
It's the same scene twice in a row.
Yeah.
It's the same action scene done twice back to back.
That gave Will Smith the opportunity to say, I don't want to die in a titty bar shootout. Which was just a classic Will Smith sort of line.
And then he changed his mind, and he's like, I will die.
Okay, I will die. Yeah.
Everything that Will Smith said was very Will Smithy.
It's Will Smith playing Will Smith in this movie.
Yeah.
That's what I didn't like. And I made this point to Dee earlier. The last horrible Will Smith movie, unless you count Collateral Damage, which is okay, but had a really bad ending.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah, he's good in it. After Earth.
Yeah.
Right? We're experts on M. Night Shyamalan films here. After Earth is a terrible movie. But Will Smith still commands the screen. When he's on the screen, you pay attention. And he's, like, believable in his role. He almost makes up for Jaden.
And that's saying something.
You know? Like, his charisma is good enough for you to keep watching After Earth, even though it's a terrible movie. He doesn't do that in this movie.
No, honestly,
his charisma
I think that's the reason why I kept watching Bright in the first place. It's because I really liked seeing Will Smith on the screen.
He just wasn't there for me. It was like Will Smith was playing Will Smith. He wasn't stretching. He wasn't showing off.
No, he wasn't. No, he definitely wasn't as much as he was in After Earth, where it was kind of a big step.
And it was a different role for him.
Right.
You know, he was different.
Of course, he was still good.
Yeah.
Couldn't be too bad though. Can't be a bad guy.
He was strict, but he had a moral code.
He had a moral code. He was moral.
Now I want to see him play a villain.
That's what I'm saying. Him and Denzel.
Yeah.
Denzel's always a good guy. Always.
He should be a villain in a Marvel movie.
Oh, jeez. He would turn to the good side.
There was so much just absurdity in this film, unintentional absurdity, just things that I'm like, how can you can't get away with this? This is stupid. All right, let's start with my favorite. There's 3 of them. One of them is a gibberish-speaking elf girl who is just useless, right? And then there's Jacoby and Smith, and between them, I think they have 1 gun. And they're getting into the SUV, and who shows up but the whole neighborhood gang, right? They come. There's 50 of them.
Yeah, like they're literally
there's like a ton
walking down
super
the stairs.
well
really
armed.
Strange,
yeah, all of them have weapons.
They're all well armed, and they're just surrounding them. And the guy says, their leader says, "Bring me that wand." And then they all stand there and wait for them to get into the car, close the doors, roll up the bulletproof windows, and start driving before they do a thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no wonder you were wiped out by the Inferi. You're like the most useless gang I've ever seen.
Yeah, yeah.
And then later, Jacoby and Ward, in the famous titty bar shootout, are hiding behind that barricade. They can't see each other.
Oh, yeah.
They're talking to the gang boss, Poison.
Yeah.
And he's in a wheelchair, and he's all like, "You're going to give me that wand so I can walk again, so I can get rid of this." And he lifts up his shirt to show his colostomy bag to people who are not in front of them.
Because they're talking to over a wall.
They're talking. He's literally showing it to the audience, to the camera. And I'm like,
you see, audience?
he's just being very showy to his posse.
Yeah.
Maybe none of them knew he had a colostomy bag.
There were audible gasps.
They're all,
that part, there's we could understand the fight between the gang and the 2 guys, and Jacoby and Ward, because the gang wants the wand for certain reasons, and also because they're just a powerful gang, right? And so we understand their conflict, and then when the gang gets wiped out, we get lowered a level of engagement because we don't care about these Inferni people who are hunting them down. We're still wondering at the end. We learn at the end who they are. At the very end, she's like, "What'd you do to my sister?" And we're like, "Oh."
With how little they spoke and how badass they were with their kung fu tricks, it would not have come as a big surprise if the twist ending was that those 3 came into this world through the Matrix.
Yeah. Well, actually,
they were all lifted straight from the Matrix.
Because that reminds me a lot of Agent Smith and all the agents in the Matrix,
except dressed like Neo.
all the agents in the Matrix go and try to stop these people, and you feel danger because you know what happens when the agents get to you is that you become one, and that's scary, because now you understand the connection between there, but there's no connection to be had with the Inferni, and it just they're so stupid.
And a lot of just unexplained magic mumbo jumbo. It's like, if you're not going to explain it or give it specific meaning, right?
Well,
if it doesn't have an impact on the story, then don't do it. Then it's just confusing.
Like the fairies.
And like, she blasts one of the other Inferi with a wand and like melts her into some weird kind of sculpture.
Yeah.
Like she's like crucified in a doorway with pipes coming out of her chest.
You were wondering what the significance was.
Looking like some kind of weird alien goddess thing. And all that we're left to know is like that's how she chose to kill her.
Right. Yeah, that's
like
how we...
some very artistic way of shooting someone.
And the thing is, when Ward sees that, when he sees that sculpture thing first, he radios in, "Oh, we have a magic user."
Yeah.
Yeah. Like they know immediately, and they never use that ever again.
That's what its purpose was. It was like, they should be dead, but they have to definitely look like they were killed by magic. Right. So Ward can say, "We got magic here."
They already had 2 corpses before that too.
That were glowing. So that should have been enough, I guess. So things like that, it's too wild and bizarre to either not have an impact on the story or be explained.
Well, like Annihilation did this, right? They had several corpses where they were just messed up. Like there was one that we had a really cool scene where the guy's head was blasted off. But it grew into something amazing.
But that all added to the story.
Exactly.
That was all. It all had reason.
Yeah. And so not explaining it then and there became an explanation later.
Yeah, you don't have to explain it if it's part of the story.
Right.
That was not part of the story.
Right.
As were many other things in this movie.
Anything.
I don't know if there was much of a story.
You know who else wasn't in this movie? They were in it, but they really weren't in this movie. Was his wife and daughter.
Oh, yeah. They had,
they brought them in at the beginning because they're like, I got it. We're going to make the audience really connect to Will Smith by providing him with a wife and daughter. You know, they're living the simple suburban life, right? Just like everyone else in our audience. She should be white. She should be white. Definitely.
And then the daughter will be mixed. So.
Yes. Yeah. Anyway.
They don't do anything.
So they use them as this setup, like, here's Will Smith's stakes. He's got a house and a wife and a daughter. Those can all be lost if he dies or fails, or loses his job.
And already his daughter doesn't like that he's a cop.
And they never come back into the story.
Until the very, very end. Their scene at the end is that they're clapping for him.
Yes.
I thought it was pretty funny how, like, he calls his wife and he's like, you need to leave town now. Yeah. And then, like, we see his wife, like at the bar.
Yeah, I like that too. She's like, he's like, you got to leave town now, and she's like, oh, I better get back to my daughter who I left alone while I went out for drinks.
I got the impression that she was like having an affair on him or something.
Because it was distracting. Like, why is she out at this club?
Yeah.
You're married with a kid. Like, it would have made sense if we showed her in the hospital where she's claimed to work.
You know what? Why probably is because they didn't want them to actually leave town. The writer probably, because like if they were together and he said you need to get out of town now, then she'd have to get her daughter. They'd have to pack up and they'd have to drive off.
Well, what I was expecting was that let's have her be away from home.
Yeah.
So he tells her,
so
go get her and leave town.
Yeah.
Which means she has to go to the home. And the next time we cut back, Jacoby and Ward end up having to go to his house for something. When they get there, they find that his wife and daughter are being held hostage or something like that. That seemed like an obvious part of this story, like just that's just like such a basic way to go.
It's like a standard
to add some stakes to this, and they just didn't do it. They're like, no, it's more interesting if they just keep running and running and running until the end.
I actually kind of assumed that they didn't actually leave town. Like I think that she left the bar and she just went home.
You're right.
Yeah.
Get out of the bar now.
She hangs up the phone and she's like, oh, that guy.
He's always overreacting.
Always overreacting. I'm just going to go home, take an Advil, go to bed.
I guess I shouldn't get shit-faced and I should go put my daughter to bed.
It's going to be a long night when he gets home. Better. Seriously, she's out drinking. What the hell?
There's something. There's one scene or one concept that this movie made me think about, and it didn't really do anything with it, and I don't think they were thinking about it either, or maybe they thought about it. But the idea that like you have your main characters get into a dangerous situation or a criminal situation or some kind of situation. And there's always the thought of why don't they call the police? Like when you're writing, That's like a rule of thumb. It's like, why don't they call the police?
Yeah.
I thought it was interesting how you have your characters be the police, and it instantly makes sense why they don't call the police because they are the police. They'd be
that's really cliche too, though. I mean, that is an easy way to get rid of why don't they call the police? Is the police are dirty.
Yeah.
We've seen that movie a lot of times.
I don't mean dirty, but I mean like if you're a cop and you call the cops on yourself.
Cops do that. They call for backup. That's what that's called.
That's not
But they couldn't do that,
though.
What do you mean?
I mean like why don't they call the police to
solve the problem?
I guess you're right, yeah. Maybe it does make sense. Yeah.
I want to point out a giant gaping hole.
Yeah.
I don't know how giant it is, but the wand can't be away from its owner too far of a distance because it just stops traveling, I guess.
Yeah, they said something like that.
Yeah, so like it smashed their police truck because they were driving with it, and then it floated up in the air. And they're like, "What's happening?" And apparently it's getting too far from the owner. And then the truck smashes to a stop.
Right.
Because I guess the wand stopped it. But then the whole point of the whole movie is that they're being chased by the Inferni, the owners of the wand.
Yeah.
So how come they're never stopped by the wand? How come the wand just keeps traveling with them?
Because they never got that far apart again.
Oh,
you see,
that's the explanation.
There's a range, and they just stayed in the range.
And they constantly had that in mind.
The Inferni are chasing them.
They're like, okay, we got to just stay
so
closer.
So they were chasing them on foot. And when they were in the car, they got too far away because they could go faster.
Yeah.
But when they were both on feet, they stayed in proximity to each other. Textbook.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guess that's not a hole at all.
I guess not. That one's.
I thought it was because the orc guy was like, oh, she put on a spell to make it only this far away from her. Like she put on a I can't remember what he called it. It was a certain kind of spell.
Oh, was it a spell?
Yeah, so it was like in my head I jumped to the conclusion that it was a specific spell that she specifically put on the wand and is not a universal law for all of the wands. But then it still doesn't make sense why it never comes into play again, or if the spell is broken.
But they only have one wand.
Yeah. Is there only one wand in the whole world?
Only one wand that they have in the whole movie.
Yeah. But it's still like a spell. That's the idea.
So the spell just wear off?
I don't know. They didn't do anything with it.
Kind of wanted to see that Dark Lord for all that talk. Let down.
There's zero emotional stakes in the movie. I think that's the reason why it's not interesting.
Yeah.
We never really root for anyone.
Not at all.
It was hard to. I think they want you to root for Jacoby, but it was really hard to.
Well, to do what?
Well,
to not be killed. Like he doesn't want anything.
Well, that too. I mean, but the other reason though, I think is. I think they made him. They tried too hard to make you feel sorry for him.
Oh yeah, because he's kind of a dope.
Yeah, so it was like the fact that he was the first orc in this situation at a time when everyone hates orcs and he's gonna be treated terribly by the police force.
Yeah,
that's enough reason. They gave us enough there to feel sorry for him, but then they added on this whole thing of he's just like a bumbling fool,
right,
with like the intellect of a child. He's like an innocent child,
right?
And
are you my friend, Ward?
Which just makes you feel like, why are you a cop?
Right.
You're not the type of person who dreams of being a cop.
Yeah, he definitely doesn't seem like he wants to be a cop.
Like the first time he fires a gun, he's like,
right.
You know, I'm like,
have either of you seen Zootopia?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you know, Hops,
the bunny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's her name?
I don't know.
Anyway, the bunny. She wants to be a cop.
Yeah.
And we can understand in the beginning why she wants to be a cop. And she keeps talking about it, and then she becomes one. This one, Jacoby's a cop because he's an orc. He and it would be weird.
He suggests later in the movie that he dreamed about it his whole life. It's all he ever wanted.
Right, because he told us about it.
Because he told us. They didn't show us anything, but
they also showed that dragons are canon in this world.
Yeah. Also centaurs.
And centaurs.
There was a centaur and a dragon, again, without ever addressing it again. It's just like, there are dragons here.
Like, are centaurs their own race that have racist problems, too?
I don't know. There's only one in L.A.
There's only one.
Yeah, it's like a person.
You're not a human. You're a horse.
Well, he was a cop also.
He looked more like he worked like the front gate.
Ah. Okay. You know what I liked about the whole story about Ward getting shot was that he's like, well, your ass was getting a burrito. He was like, I was getting one for you.
What?
That kind of nullifies it, actually.
Nullifies the
instantly.
Thing. Like, he's sitting there texting, hey, go give me a burrito. You know, then he gets shot. Like, that's a terrible thing.
The thing I could never get on board with in this film was that it launched from this point that everyone felt like Jacoby let Ward down.
Right.
That somehow Jacoby was supposed to have his back. That shouldn't have happened. The guy shouldn't have been shot.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what on earth are you expecting him to do? Is he your bodyguard? So you can just chill out and text and just lower your guard?
Well, a lot of them...
Are you not allowed to get a burrito?
A lot of them talked about, I think, afterwards when he let the orc go, the guy.
Yeah, they got into that later, but
they started with that.
Initially, it was all about like you let your partner get shot,
and they abandoned that.
And I'm like, what was he? That just seems ridiculous. It's like that's like you could just blame any time a cop is shot on their partner.
Yeah.
He was shot. You weren't. What the heck were you doing?
Were you at home?
You just off getting getting a burrito or something?
You eating?
You off duty?
You off duty?
Why you off duty?
you think you can just eat?
and Jacoby goes like, "Do you want red or green sauce?" And Will Smith just looks over, and he goes, and then he gets shot.
Right.
Like, he doesn't even answer.
Yeah. Will Smith was shot for being a dick.
I still can't get over the part where he says, I was getting a burrito for you. I don't eat cow flesh.
Yeah.
Like,
he's like, I don't even eat cow flesh.
Right. And so when he's like, you want red or green sauce? That first scene made me think, when Will Smith is going like this, he's basically saying in his head, you're a fat fuck. Like, I don't want a burrito. But it's like, for him. And so if he's going like no, he's just basically telling off his partner.
He's just saying, I hate you.
I hate you.
That's what he's saying.
You want a green sauce?
He's saying, I hate you.
What condiment do you want on your food that I'm getting for you?
Right.
Please don't try to be nice to me. Yeah.
Not even like a no, not like he doesn't go like, oh, I don't want sauce.
That's the thing. Like, this movie just never delivered on all the things it could have, right?
Yeah.
So it started off with this partner who's trying so hard to be nice to Will Smith, right? To Ward. Jacoby's like he goes there to his house to pick him up in the morning, and he just gets chewed out, And every time he tries to do something nice, he's just a jerk back to him. And so, okay, maybe that's the story. We're gonna see Will Smith learn to love Ward,
right,
or to love Jacoby. That's not the story.
It's not.
It's not the story. Then we have Jacoby himself, who's just like they keep throwing in funny parts, like funny lines, and some of them are funny. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, okay, this is gonna go like buddy cop comedy with some action. Didn't do that either. No. They decided, we're gonna throw in some really dark crap.
It's really dramatic.
Yeah, right? Super dramatic and dark, and so it's like all that comedy is just sort of nullified and distracting.
It's distracting.
So it just never had a tone.
Well, so you're wondering
never had a meaning.
Right. So you're wondering then, okay, well, if it's not about them, then it's about some sort of the world building, right? Maybe the wand is somehow connected to something bigger. But it's just the Inferni, who are rogue elves, want their wand back, and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not about that. It's not about Tika, this special girl.
Yeah, she said special.
She doesn't do anything.
This special girl. Okay, so I want to talk about that real quick. When I think there's kind of an American thing about looking at foreigners and thinking that they're below you because they speak a different language.
They definitely treated Tika that way.
Yeah. So like
she was portrayed as an idiot.
Right. Exactly. So she comes in and she's like, she's always like scratching at the wall, looking at something.
Yeah, she's like,
yeah, she's like in the backseat riding with the car,
like a mentally disabled cat.
Right,
that's like her level.
Yeah, and
like, why did they do that to her?
I don't know. No idea. She could have been an interesting character. Then they reveal she can talk at the end.
Right,
like, and he's seriously like, you can talk.
Right,
you're a human.
You have communication skills.
So it's as if she was doing that on purpose at that time, but that they revealed that she could talk. Okay, well, maybe she was just acting dumb on purpose, but she says, I trust you now. And then she never grows more intelligent after that. She says, I trust you.
Well, she mostly disappears after that. She kind of fades from the whole movie.
Why does she scream at them to stop in her native tongue if she doesn't trust them? Why does she stick with them the whole time if she doesn't trust them?
Why was she there?
To provide a character who carries the MacGuffin.
She's like the Ark of the Covenant.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, she's the holder. Yeah.
Wait, does that make it good?
Yeah, that makes it good.
Gotcha.
This movie's now good.
A+. Some of the exposition was so ridiculously on the nose when they're driving to work and he's like, Elf Town? You can't drive through Elf Town.
That was funny.
Yeah. All Elf Town is filled with rich white elves.
And then they just drive through it.
And they just drive through it. And nothing happens.
Yeah, because bad things happen when you go to Elf Town. No, you just, I don't know, you have to slow down a little.
Slow down.
I also liked how that whole piece of dialogue and whole exposition was delivered in voiceover without seeing Will Smith's face, and it was all from the inside of the car, but we're like way outside of the car.
Because they're all just wide shots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like they just did it
of
afterwards.
Elves walking around with like Gucci bags.
You know what they probably did was they shot that scene first and then added in the dialogue later to think, oh, people won't know that elves are like rich.
Yeah.
Well, of course, because they're not part of the story. They're not even in the movie. Like that whole thing is just... It's not even part of the movie.
The fact that they even have Inferni in this movie is just dumb. They should just be elves.
Well, they didn't even have to be rogue elves. They
Right.
could have just had elves are these dark creatures that have a wand and are really dangerous.
Right.
And it would have been the exact same movie because the fact that there were other elves that weren't that way didn't matter.
Didn't play into it, no.
You know? And the Fed elf.
The Magic Task Force.
Yeah, that dude.
Yeah.
He didn't have to be an elf. He could have been anything. It didn't matter that he was an elf. It didn't come into play at all.
He looked really silly, too.
And it must be noted, I have to say this, the discount John Goodman, remember him?
Yeah.
His name is Happy Anderson.
Oh, that's awesome.
Wow.
Happy Anderson.
Happy.
I just had to say that.
Thank you.
John Goodman and Happy Anderson.
John Goodman would have been better in that part.
John Goodman would not have taken that part.
No. The whole thing about I forgot what they're called. The people who protect the wand. The guy, the homeless guy was part of it. Anyway, this homeless guy is looking like, well, he looks like a homeless guy, right? He's got really, really huge shaggy hair. He's really dirty, and they see him with the shirt off, swinging the sword in the middle of town square. Screaming at people. And they're like, set down the weapon, I'm going to shoot you. And then he goes, okay, and shuts down the weapon. And then they take him, and he's like, what are you doing, man? And he's like he's totally normal now. And they take him in, and then he warns the police, the magic feds, that there's some sort of Inferni around. After he didn't want to tell them that he was part of their protecting area. I don't know why.
Meanwhile, we have no idea why he's out in the street acting like a crazy drunk.
Right.
We have no idea why he's swinging a sword around. They treat the sword like it's going to be some important object in the movie. It's not. It just disappears. The character honestly does nothing to move the story along, and we didn't need him at all.
He's exposition is what he is.
But it wasn't that much.
No.
Like that could have been on like a freaking index card.
It could have been.
You know, I mean,
they could have just been threatened in the first place, you know. They didn't need him at all. They could have just had the Inferni say, "We need our wand back," and that's all. That's all he was there to be. They had this extended world building that didn't matter. Good movie.
Can I point out how stupid it was, the scene at the end where Jacoby got blooded?
Yeah, they just like happened to be standing there.
Like they come like this crime scene is who knows where. I don't know what its proximity is to the secret orc hideout, but they save the day. The building's up in flames. He falls down on the ground, and then the whole orc gang just shows up. We're just here, just in the neighborhood.
Yeah, just in the
neighborhood. And we know that you just did something very heroic. So it's time for you to be blooded, which means me, way over here across the street, I'm going to cut my hand and we're all going to go like this. Oh! And that's all it is.
That means he's blooded now.
He's blooded now. And I'm like, that's really it? That's blooded? This thing we've been talking like
like a great honor.
Wow.
The reason why they were there to blood him is because he went back in to save Will Smith, right?
I guess.
When they were escaping, when they were escaping, so Will Smith just found out he was a bright.
What are the chances? 1 in a million.
Was there any concern?
Was there any point?
Did you feel at all like, oh, don't pick up the wand? And it's like,
no. You know what was funny was like he went to go pick it up, and the girl who hates him, who tried to kill him, says, "Don't, you'll die."
But then
he says, "No, we'll all die."
Yeah.
And then he picks it up.
So he was intending to kill himself.
Yeah,
and his partner,
like pulling a grenade.
Yeah.
You know, like just blowing it.
So Will Smith kills all of his colleagues, is about to kill his partner in the beginning, but decides not to, and then decides he's going to kill everybody around him.
Oh.
But then happens to not because he happened to be a Bright.
I think you got your wish, Taylor. This is a movie where he's a villain. He is a villain. He's a cop killer.
Oh.
But the movie treated him as a hero, and I hate that.
Dirty cop.
Yeah.
He should go to jail.
And he's still racist at the end of the movie, as far as we know.
And they go with the good old tell a lie about what happened, and we'll pretend everything's fine, and you go free.
Which was a really, really, really bad scene.
That was like one of the worst.
That was a terrible scene.
Yeah, that was really
especially that they made this gag about Jacoby like going on and on talking about verbal diarrhea,
right,
you know, and it was like funny for 2 seconds, and then they kept going for 3 minutes.
It literally, like, that joke went on for so long.
Yeah,
and I was like, oh my god,
let it die, please.
And they stopped cutting to reactions, and they just kept on Jacoby.
Yeah,
like you're like are we supposed to be laughing?
Oh no, what? Like, it is such a crime. It is a sin in a movie when the audience has already seen something happen, and then two characters, one who was there and one who wasn't, come together, and then the audience has to sit through one character telling the other what we already know.
Yeah.
You don't do that.
Yeah, well, I mean, because it came off as a joke at first, and then it stopped being.
And then we started watching him retell the movie, and we're just like,
oh my god, come on.
Unless you're going to tell a lie and change it up in a way that we're not expecting, why are you doing this to us?
Well, and it was weird because Will Smith at that moment, I keep calling Will Smith Ward at that moment.
Yeah.
Says to Jacoby, like, you know, shut up, and then says the whole thing as if he's scared of what the Magic Feds are going to do, right? Like, the Magic Feds are maybe the new enemy now, and if he doesn't say it properly, then they're going to put him away. So he says the whole thing like you know, very serious. No, we responded to a call, and this happened, and the guy said, "Is that right?" He's like, "That's right." And then Jacoby says something stupid again, and he's treating the whole thing as if the Magic Feds are these bad guys. I can't remember what my thought process was.
They weren't bad guys.
It was bad anyway.
That like, he assumed that they were not gonna just put him away. That they were just okay with. The feds walked into that room.
That's what it was.
Knowing that they were going to let him go, whatever he says.
So that's exactly it. They came in and they're like, okay, we just needed them to tell us, you know, so they're already good guys.
Mm.
We just needed them to tell us, and we won't put them away. And Will Smith treats them that they're not bad guys, like he's not in on it, and that's what's weird.
Yeah,
there's a dissonance.
Shrek.
Take your Shrek-looking ass.
No, by the way, this is the second Will Smith movie where he talks about Shrek.
Will Smith wishes he was in Shrek.
He did that. He did that in I Am Legend.
He wanted to be.
Did
Donkey.
he want the role of Donkey?
Yeah.
Sad. Anyway, Shrek did something to movies that has left a stamp on Hollywood forever, and no one can wash it off. At the end of Shrek, something happened that at the time was clever and endearing because it just really hadn't been done before. That's what I call the Shrek ending, and that's where as soon as the storyline has all been fixed and everyone's happy, there's like this celebration where a song plays, Smash Mouth in the case of Shrek, and like you see all kinds of like silly references to things that have happened earlier in the movie. A character who maybe got his head blown off 45 minutes ago shows up and says, "Hi, I'm still here," and you have this sort of like wacky wind up. Now versions of that now show up in everything, and this was that too. This totally had a Shrek ending with the pals his new buddies, the orc gang, showing up at the end and doing the you are now blooded salute. Moving on to the ceremony where they all said thank you to him, and then, of course, to just put the cherry on top, the gag from the very beginning had to circle back. The fairy fly up into the camera and go, I'm a wacky fairy. End. And like when that fairy flew off, I was ready for like, I thought love was only found in fairy tales. Like it totally felt like it would have fit.
That's
Stupid
hilarious.
Shrek ending.
I thought it was funny how what was her name? Tikka
Masala.
Tikka Masala was
Tikka.
just kind of like sneaking around the audience. Like she like had her hood on. She's like,
Yeah, no one thought that was weird.
yeah, like
That
why
in
is she
between
acting
the
so
first and
suspicious?
second row,
Yeah.
this girl in a hood just starts walking through, like at an event where there would totally be like security
Like,
clearance.
where is she going?
Like she had to have consciously decided to be suspicious.
Where is she? Why is she there? Where is she going?
She looked like she either just hit a bomb or is going to go hide a bomb.
Right.
That's what she looked like.
So she was there just so Will Smith could be like, you're still
Right.
alive.
And I love moments where characters talk to each other in normal voices in
front of
situations where you could never talk at the normal voice.
It's like the sitcom thing where they pull you aside 3 feet away and talk in full voice.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In parentheses aside.
Right.
They're like, oh man, it makes me so mad that we're honoring these guys who are dead. They were scumbags. And he's like, yeah, well, we just have to deal with it. While
We know.
1,000 people are
looking at 'em.
staring at them, and they're just like, yeah, I know. It's our secret. No one else will know.
It's like, why didn't you have that conversation like before you walked out on stage?
The camera, man. The audience wouldn't know.
Oh, right. Oh. See, that's why audience is not important, guys. I've been telling you all this
Gotta
time.
discipline your audience.
Discipline your audience. Alienate. The A and D. Alienate and discipline your audience.
How would you do that?
Well, to start with our audience, we lost a sub.
No. How would you discipline?
What?
Is that what you're saying?
We lost a sub.
We
I
lost-
thought you were talking about the film. Are you talking about the film?
I was.
Yeah, talk about.
I thought you were just asking in general, how do you discipline an audience in general?
Hello, YouTube audience. You are all morons. We hate you.
No,
Something like that?
actually, it's more like we know your username, and if we want to we want you to prove your true loyalty. Every other subscriber we have to go. We have to find this guy's address. We gotta find out where he lives. We have to find out how to get to him. And also, I am just really disappointed that someone would not be as included in our community as to make to the decision to unsub. And also, we have about 81 subscribers, and we don't even average 81 views a video. That means all of our subs are not even watching our videos.
What?
They're slacking. We got a bunch of slackers. So that's what I mean by discipline your audience. You gotta discipline your audience.
Discipline your audience. You know what? No more talkies. Until you watch all of our other videos.
If we don't have at least 81 views on every video we've made, we're not making another episode.
We're not making another.
guys. Forget it. You guys have no respect.
Oh God.
Anyway,
I don't
but
know.
my question was not that at all.
How would you have done?
But how would you have
part in the movie?
How would you have disciplined the audience if you were making Bright,
How would I have
as opposed to
disciplined the audience?
pandering to the audience?
Right.
I have one idea, but you go first.
Well, I wouldn't have had any expositional dialogue. Like, any line of exposition that's in the movie, just take it out completely. But leave all the visual stuff in. Take out all the expositional dialogue and don't replace it. And if there's nothing there, then they sit in silence.
That would alienate the audience.
Yeah.
Yep.
Exposition is supposed to be seen.
It
Not
should
heard.
be
Right.
seen.
Yeah,
Yes, I
that's true.
completely agree.
And not okay.
And not
hold
red.
Up, hold up. Not red.
Not red
That's it.
either.
Graffiti does not
seen.
count.
Yes, we'll write it on the walls.
Right.
Now thinking
That's
about
scripture.
it, if you did take away the graffiti and if you took away all the expositional dialogue, there's no world here other than the costumes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, because there was no story either.
Yeah.
So.
You know what I really wish they had done in this film was that Jacoby actually died.
You know, it's funny because when we got to that part, I watched you and you were like, "Oh, like
yeah,
like I'm impressed."
Like I was,
and I'm like, he has no idea.
And I'm like, here comes the stupid moment where the guy backs off and doesn't shoot him, which
actually would have made more sense.
But then they shoot him. He gets shot right through the heart and he falls. And I'm like, that's what would happen to the cop who is completely strict to the law, right? He is the least dirty cop. And that's what this story could have been about.
Right, which would have been really dark.
He played it straight. He followed the rules. He ended up getting killed. Will Smith sees that, and he's able then to carry that story on to the rest of the world and say, yeah, you guys all hated this guy, Jacoby, and you know what? He's the best cop who ever lived.
Right.
But he was resurrected, and now he's just any other cop.
Right.
That was stupid.
Right. What's another film that has two buddies that are thrust into a situation and they have to get along in order to make that situation better?
The Odd Couple.
A movie that I've seen.
Okay.
Jumanji. That's a good one.
I'm sure there's lots of them. Jurassic World. Chris Pratt and
Blue.
Not Blue. What's her name? Howard.
The buddy cop movie.
Bryce Dallas Howard.
Oh yeah.
And Chris Pratt.
Yeah.
You know, they had to learn to work together.
Yeah. Learning to work together is the thing here.
Yeah.
And these guys already work together.
Here's a better example. Dory and Marlin.
I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen Finding Nemo?
Oh, yeah. I haven't seen Dory and Marlin, the movie.
Marlin and Dory are forced together to solve a problem, and they have to learn to work together. And that's probably one of the best examples I could come up with.
Yeah, that's perfect. I mean, the thing is, when you make it about two people, you have to make it about two people.
Will Turner and Jack Sparrow.
Yeah.
I mean, this is like pretty basic stuff, actually.
This is like one of the basic stories.
Yeah. Sam Witwicky and the Transformers.
Oh, man.
Sam Witwicky.
They did it better. They did it better.
Oh, Zero and Stanley Yelnats.
Is that holes?
Yeah.
Damn.
Put on your sunglasses.
It's that time
Does
of night.
Does that mean it's like over now?
Well, no, it's the sun came up.
Oh, it's bright.
I'm sundowning.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, no.
I'm not even awake. What does that mean?
I'm downing you.
Oh, I don't get it.
What are you...
You just look weird. Really weird. So Bright sucked.
Hell yeah.
Here, Bright 2.
What pizza's Bright?
Wait. Bright 2 is confirmed. It is directed by David Ayer. It is written by David Ayer. And Will Smith and Joel Edgerton both confirmed to return. Yes. We will have to cover that here on the Talkies. Won't we? Bright 2. Bright 2. Bright 2.
What kind of pizzas you guys got?
Bright is the pizza that you go into IKEA and you see sitting on a table. And you're like, that looks delicious. And you go over there and you're like, oh, fuck, it's plastic.
Yeah. To me, I was going to say, like, if someone said, hey, I made you a pizza and it's awesome. How awesome is it? Like a Will Smith summer blockbuster awesome. And I'm like, yeah, give me some of that pizza. And I reach up for pizza. They put a box of Wheat Thins in my hands. They're like, here's your pizza, man. And I'm like, what the? This ain't a pizza. Well, I like Wheat Thins, so maybe I'll just... This is empty. That's what it's like. That's what kind of pizza Bright is.
It's an empty box of Wheat Thins.
Yes. Taylor.
This movie is like a barbecue chicken pizza that is presented as if it's the most original thing that's ever happened to pizza, but then it's not even good.
Sad.
No. Imagine a pizza, but it's barbecue chicken. I like they have it at every restaurant. No. Barbecue chicken.
It's barbecue sauce and chicken.
Hey, there was a time when that was seriously disruptive. I remember when barbecue chicken pizza became a thing, and it was like,
yeah,
what?
Yeah,
what?
And years ago, it might have been something.
Yeah, I used to go to Rainforest Cafe and get the barbecue chicken pizza. It'd blow my mind.
That's actually a good point, because had this movie maybe come out 30 years ago,
the movie still would have sucked.
It would have been terrible.
I forgot to make my a comparison that we made earlier. This film just seemed terribly tone deaf to the causes that it was trying to shine a light on.
Yeah.
That of racism, right? It was like someone who had just heard of this idea but's never stepped into a ghetto in their lives, right? Yeah. Or they've just watched cop movies.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And it reminded me of that damn Pepsi commercial.
With the writing.
The one where there's what's clearly a Black Lives Matters protest going on, and someone walks up to a cop in riot gear and gives him a Pepsi, and all their problems melt away. And it was like you could just hear the like tone deaf, ultra privileged white man who came up with that idea and thought he was so just on the cutting edge of brilliance. He's like, we're gonna be so relevant.
Yeah, this movie sounds like
we should tap into that Black Lives Matters movement.
Yeah,
to sell our beverages.
Yeah, that's stupid.
Good. Yeah, the one about people dying, being strangled to death. Let's sell Pepsi.
That's bad.
This movie felt that badly tone deaf to me.
I'd agree.
Write what you know, even if you're writing fantasy. Write what you know.
Fantasy is an allegory, and this just didn't use it right.
But you know what?
It was.
Lord of the Rings.
The problem, though.
Lord of the Rings is an allegory to things that happened in our real world,
right?
Top to bottom.
Well, and every story is supposed to be.
Yeah,
yeah.
I mean, you have different kinds of classes. You have warfare. You have the Industrial Revolution, and you have the industrial military complex. You have all that stuff going on, and none of it is obvious.
Right.
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 It's just it's like it's inspired by. Where this was it was just trying so hard, and it didn't work.
Trying hard
to do nothing.
Yeah, and don't make a subclass of juggalos. Juggalos don't need to be a class. Let's not kid ourselves. There's not enough of them to actually be considered a class of people.
I will make a last comment.
Is it about juggalos?
No.
Okay.
Very irrelevant, but the orcs listen to music.
Yes.
And what music did they choose to listen to?
Sort of like angry metal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Orcs are unique because they're big and strong. So who else is like big, strong, and what kind of music do they listen to? Well, it has to be angry metal.
Yeah. And that was a love song.
Yeah.
Because we don't know, because it's deep. Okay.
Do you stop, please?
Just stop. Can we stop?
Can't talk about this.
I have to look at one thing. David Ayer.
No.
David Ayer has done some stuff in his career. Dude's been around.
End of Watch.
He did
End of Watch?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
He did Training Day. He did Fury. He did End of Watch.
Director?
Yeah.
Yes. And
well, okay, so who wrote it?
He also wrote. He wrote.
Did he write End of Watch?
He wrote the very first Fast and the Furious.
That makes a lot of sense.
He wrote U-571, which was a cool movie starring. What's his name?
This movie actually did really feel like Fast and the Furious. That's hilarious.
It did a little bit. Hey, what's the guy's name that sings, "It's my life, and it's now or never"?
I don't know.
Come on. He's a big star in the, 80s.
Kenny G.
Kenny G.
No, yeah, it's Kenny G. Yeah.
That's obviously it.
Will Smith.
Gosh dang it, guys. Why you gotta be so young?
He also did Suicide Squad.
Bon Jovi.
Oh,
John Bon Jovi was in U-571.
David Ayer did
yes,
Suicide
he directed
Squad.
Suicide Squad. Not so good, that one.
Right.
He directed a Lil Wayne video. There's that. Anyway. I don't know how I feel right now. I just feel kind of ugh.
I don't feel good at all.
Just feel gross.
I'm not even gonna bush around the beat. I'm
done.
I feel terrible.
Let's go beat some bushes.
Yeah.
Let's go beat it in the bushes.
Go eat a plastic pizza.
Let's go beat it. Beat it in the bushes with the plastic pizza. That's how the phrase goes, right?
Anyway,
let's stop the
You know what could make us feel better right now?
Short films.
Doing a short film roundup. Why don't we call this a day? Go watch some short films and do a short film roundup. That'll cleanse the palate of the nastiness of this empty box of Wheat Thins.
You know, at least the short films are guaranteed to be coming from a somewhat passionate place.
At least they'll be genuine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's do that.
Let's do that.
Let's do it now.
Okay.
All right. We're sorry we put you through that, guys. I know that was a rough one. But we'll be right back here again with another movie and a short film roundup. We got 2 episodes a week right now.
Mondays.
Thursdays and Mondays we have episodes coming out. Carmen Line Studios. Thank you again for watching. And until next time, this guy's Kenny.
This guy's D.
I'm Taylor.
And we'll see you at the Talkies.
You know, you're doing it the wrong way. Thank you.